A Bloomberg poll released Thursday showed that 11 months before the 2024 presidential election, former President Donald Trump is leading President Biden by 5 percentage points among registered voters in a head-to-head match across 7 swing states. According to a report published this past Thursday in Bloomberg's Washington edition newsletter, Trump's lead is inside the margin of error in Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, but is larger than that in Georgia, where he leads by 6 percentage points, and North Carolina, where he leads by 9. What does it mean when a man who's under 4 felony indictments is leading a sitting president in the midst of not one but 2 wars? For more on that, we go to Philadelphia to speak with Professor Tony Monteiro of the Saturday Free School. Tony?
This is a very critical moment in the modern history, at least the post-World War II history of the United States, where we're looking at, for the first time in 75 years, a political realignment where the majority of people have abandoned both parties, the Republican and Democratic Party, and to the extent that people are involved in voting and electoral politics, they seem to be more attracted to movements rather than to either party. This is kind of one of those moments when, as they say, the center will not hold or has not held. And what we're looking at is the rise of political movements and a plethora of candidates, especially running as independents, who are saying that we are appealing to one or the other side of the political divide. In that sense, that is what Cornel West represents. That's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. represents. That's what Jill Stein represents. This pull away from the 2 major parties. I mentioned the 3 that I did because they are Democrats, traditional Democrats. Robert Kennedy, Cornell, and Jill Stein. They would tend to vote on, at least Cornell and Jill, on the left side of the Democratic Party. JFK is trying to situate himself as a populist more on the liberal or left side, but nonetheless, these movements are new in American politics and, in fact, represent the political realignment that I'm talking about. And of course, the Trump movement is the the largest and most dynamic part of this realignment. And of course, the Trump movement is not just Donald Trump, or not essentially Donald Trump. It is a movement of the discontented and those who no longer see the ruling elite as legitimate. So when you put it all together, we have all of these political movements that represent the discontent among the majority of the people, close to 70% in some polls, who say that the country is moving in the wrong direction. They look upon Biden and the Democrats as ultimately representatives of the richest, most powerful political forces in the country. This assessment was held, now we know, by a big part of the Democratic coalition, especially what these 2 wars have brought to the fore, the Ukraine and the war against the Palestinian people that is being funded by the US government and the Biden administration. And what it has brought forward is that at the base of the Democratic Party, as is the case with the base of the Republican Party or of the Trump movement, is a fierce and passionate anti-war sentiment. And Biden's poll numbers began to decline as the war in Ukraine saw no end, and the U.S. continuing to fund it. And it showed the same thing with the genocide being carried out by the Israeli government with the financial and military support of the United States. The American people have decided that war will not answer the domestic problems of inflation, of lack of adequate income, of growing inequality, of collapse of education, the collapse of cities, the rise of crime, and other issues that are day-to-day and existential for ordinary people. They have said, in effect, that the country needs a new makeover. And this new makeover is what I'm calling a political realignment. Usually, political realignments occur at times when there is no center. And in a certain sense, when the center collapses, it opens up the possibility for a new class to arise or a new alliance of classes. And by this, I mean the poor, the working class, and the lower middle classes to align in a new popular movement that attacks the oligarchs and the military industrial complex and the political establishment, including that part of the political establishment which calls itself Zionist or pro-Israel. So the loss of young people, the loss of Black people, and I think this will be the decisive turning point if the Democrats, with or without Biden, lose Black voters in this election. I dare say they will never be able to win them back. They will be that is, the majority of Black people or plurality of Black people will be in a political no man's land, a wilderness, looking for that right movement, that right type of movement that can bring about the change, which increasingly is radical change in the country.
So it's 1 month out from the Iowa Republican caucus,
right,
to a date, January 15th. And the New Hampshire Republican primary is January 23rd. The results of the Bloomberg poll released on the 14th of December show in the swing states, for example, Trump leads in each of these 7 swing states, and in all of them. In the aggregate, it's 47% to 42%. In Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, he wins in each and every one of them. 49 to 40, for example, in North Carolina, 49 to 43 in Georgia, in Arizona, 46 to 42, Michigan, 46 to 42, Nevada, 47 to 44, Pennsylvania, 46 to 44, and Wisconsin, 45 to 41. With the exception of Pennsylvania, those numbers make it impossible to monkey with the results this time.
Yeah. This will be a different kind of election from 2024. The stakes are higher in this election than 2024. This is an election in the final analysis over whether or not the people believe that the ruling elite that run the society, that have the most of the overwhelming amount of political power, is able to rule. I mean, this is an extraordinary moment. Of course, the pollsters look at things like economic well-being, immigration, crime, and things like that. But the real deal is that the ruling elite and almost every one of its institutions are being rejected by the people.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Tony. We'll talk with you again sometime very soon, I hope.
Okay. Thank you, Don.
For KPFK, I'm Don DeBar.